Hi, I'm Kazor, and with the arrival of patch 9.2, now is the perfect time to find a guild for Sepulchre of the first ones. A lot of people are hesitant to join guilds because they've heard horror stories of corrupt guildmasters and officers taking advantage of their raiders, but in my experience this is very rare, and the benefits of being in an organised team more than outweigh the incredibly unlikely event of finding yourself in a bad guild. Besides, if you find yourself in a guild that you don't like, you can always try another. If you've played with a guild before, you'll already know this, but being a member of a guild can make your experience in WoW so much better. I'm not talking about joining the first guild you get a random invite to and treating your guild chat as a green coloured trade chat. Instead, I'm talking about joining a guild that has goals that they aim to complete as a team, like clearing the raid on a certain difficulty. Being a member of a guild can help you to make more efficient use of your playtime, which is especially useful if you don't have much free time to play. You'll be able to log in knowing that during your scheduled raid time, you'll be invited to a group of players capable of making progress towards your shared goals, rather than spending time applying to groups in the group finder hoping to be invited to a group that might not even be successful. Before you go to look for a guild, it's a good idea to get some logs to prove what you're capable of. If you go to warcraftlogs.com and search for your character, you might find that someone else has already uploaded logs containing your character. If not, you'll want to make some for yourself. Leave a comment if you want to see a guide on how to log yourself in the future. While it's not everything, the best percentile column shows how you compare to other players of your specialisation. For example, a 75th percentile means that you did more DPS than 75% of other players of your spec on that fight. Or as you can see here, I got a 91st percentile on Mythic Tarragrue. That means I did more damage on that fight than 91% of other arms warriors. Generally, having high percentiles is good because it means you did more damage. There are more to logs than just percentiles, but that's a complex topic that would be an entire video on its own. Another thing that's probably worth preparing before you start looking for a guild is your Mythic Plus score. It's less important than raid logs because your Mythic Plus performance is not necessarily indicative of your raid performance, but getting a decent score can indicate that you, at the very least, know how to play your class. As of Season 3, a score of 2,500 indicates that you have completed a plus 15 dungeon on both Fortified and Tyrannical for every dungeon. Now the first place you might be tempted to look for a guild is in the in-game guild finder, which you get to by pressing J and clicking on the guild finder option. You've got plenty of options here to search for what you want, so you can search by focus, social and leveling, dungeons, raids, PvP, or role-playing. You can search by languages, size, what roles you're looking to play, so tank, healer, DPS, depending on your class. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because you don't tend to get a lot of information on the guilds based on just this tiny little bit of text here, but you might find a diamond in the rough, so it might be worth having a quick look once every week or so just to see if there's anything that's new that's shown up that is interesting to you. But I think there are better ways to look for a guild, which I'll get onto next. Now on to methods of guild hunting that I can recommend. The first place I'd recommend you check out is wowprogress.com. Honestly, cannot recommend it enough. It's how I've found most of the guilds I've been in ever. First thing you want to do is sign in with your Battle.net account, and you'll be able to click on your little name up here. You then click on your main character, and it'll bring you through to a summary page like this. What you'll then want to do is click edit here, and then you'll be able to edit this little text box here. What I'd recommend putting in there is any sort of raid history you have, maybe logs from other characters that you've played, any sort of schedule that you want to stick to. So for example, if you don't want to raid on Fridays, put that in there, and it means anyone that's got a raid on Friday won't bother contacting you. But what this does is it will list you on the part of this site where it's players looking for guilds, which will mean that any officers that are looking to recruit for their guild will be able to see your character up there when they're looking for people. It's actually how I found my current guild. I filled this out 6 months ago when I was looking for a guild, and one of the officers of my current guild reached out to me, and we had a chat, and I decided this guild was a good guild. I thought trial with this guild, and I'm still here today. So yeah, I would definitely recommend doing this first, because it means while you're looking for guilds, it also means that guilds might find you. And if you've got two people looking for each other, you've got more chance of finding a match. Once you've done this, what you'll want to do is come over to here, and this is a way to search. You can search specifically for a character, or you click on this and it'll search for a guild, or you can just search for all guilds on a realm. So for example, I'm on Taran Mill. So if I search for guilds on Taran Mill, you can see these are all the top guilds on Taran Mill. There's top 20 guilds on Taran Mill. And there's quite a few guilds. Obviously, being Taran Mill, it's quite a high-end server, so there's quite a few guilds at 10 of 10, quite a few at 9 of 10. Obviously, this is not for everyone, so what I would say is if you want to narrow it down so you've got less guilds to search through, you can search using these little drop-downs here. You can search for what you're looking for. So, for example, I'm a Horde warrior that wants to raid 3 raids a week, for example. I can also search by English. I can search by what class I am and what specs I am. So, for example, I'm a damage dealer. Click go and it narrows it down a bit. So you've got plenty of guilds here. Still quite a few 10 of 10 guilds if that's what you're looking for, but also less progressed guilds. So, for example, there's some that are normal, some that are heroic, some that are mid-level mythic. So you've got plenty of guilds that you're looking for on your server. If you're not raiding mythic, what you can do is also look on other servers. This is if you're not willing to transfer. You can also look on other servers because, well, with mythic it's server locked until the Hall of Fame is filled. With other difficulties, it's not. Even with mythic, you can look on other servers if you're willing to pay money to transfer, but always look on your own server first is what I would recommend. And then what you do, say for example, let's take Disorganized here. They're quite a high ranked guild, 498th in the world. You can click onto here and you can see that this hasn't been updated in a while, but they have got a website that you can apply on. You can see their schedule. If that schedule fits you, you could apply for them, for example. What they do have here is it says all classes, so that might mean that they're not picky, or at this rating, really what it's more likely to mean is that they just couldn't be asked to fill it out. So if you're at this sort of level, you could apply. They might say, look, we're not looking for your class, or they might say, yeah, we quite like you, we'll bring you on as a trial. But it's just, you can look through guilds. If I look at another one, let's take, for example, Robust. You can see they've got specific classes that they're looking for. So they've got low priority on a Death Knight DPS, high priority on a Resto Shaman, medium priority on a DPS Warrior. But you can see what their goals are. They said they're looking to get ahead of the curve and pushing as far into Mythic as possible. They raid on Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. They say what they can offer, what they expect from you, and ways to contact them if you want to apply. So I would say start looking through guilds on this site first, after you've filled out your information like I mentioned before. Now the next place I'd recommend to look for a guild is in your class Discords. I'll have a link in the description below to every class Discord, but this is the Warrior Discord. And you can see here that they've got a tab here called Promotion. And this is a place where guilds can go to look for recruits, and people can go to look for a guild. And as you can see here, there are lots of different guilds posting with what they want, similar to WoW Progress, with their schedules, what they're looking for, what sort of qualities they want from their recruits. And it's a good place to look for guilds. The only issue is it's not region specific and it's not server specific. So you might find a guild that looks great and then realize, for example, if you're an EU player, they might be on the US. So you just have to pay attention to who you're looking at, but overall, not a bad place to look. Also, a good thing to do while you're here is there's, for example, you can see here, there's channels for Arms Fury and Prot. That will be the same for every other channel for their specializations. And it might be a good way if you're, unsure about a few things, you might be able to jump in there, ask a few questions, and the top players in the world quite often frequent these Discords, and they'll be able to answer your questions. So it might help you get better at the game as well while you're here. So I would definitely recommend these class Discords, even just for the looking for guild part of it. But if you also want to improve while you're there, these people will be happy to answer questions in the spec channels. Now the next place that you can look for a guild is on Warcraft logs. This is the site we used for the logs before, but as you can see on the homepage, there's two options here. You're a player looking for a guild, or a guild looking for players under their recruitment section. Now obviously in this scenario, we're a player looking for a guild, so we're going to click on Get Started here. And what you'll be able to do is fill out all this information. So for example, you select your character, what specs you play, whether you want to appear in recruitment search results, which in this case you do, but I'm not going to list my character because I'm happy in my guild. And you can write a little bit about yourself, any sort of contact information that you want people to get in contact with you. So for example, list your Discord or your Battle.net. what faction you play, what server you play on, what you're looking to do. So, for example, raids or dungeons, PvP, or just a bit of social. What languages you speak. I mean, most guilds will speak English, but if you want to join a Swedish-only guild, for example, you can select that here. You can also select what sort of progress you want. So, for example, you can select that you want, say, a 10 of 10 mythic guild that's world 100 or higher, or if you're a little bit lower end, you could say search for like top 10,000 guilds that are a little bit lower in progress. Just whatever you want to do. It means it will only search for guilds that will actually fit your criteria. You can also set your availability and how many times of the week you want to raid. And then once you've done all that, you can click on search, and it will search for guilds that fit your criteria. And it will also list you for guilds that are looking for players. Now, similar to this, you also have Raider.io, which is another site I showed earlier. They also have a recruitment section like Warcraft Logs, and you can go onto here, you can click Create Profile, and similar to Warcraft Logs, you can either create a profile for a character, a guild, or a Mythic Plus team. Now in this situation, we're a player looking for a guild, so we'll click Character, and then you can select what you're looking for the guild to do. So for example, in this situation, we're looking for a raiding guild. So we click onto that, and then you can select your character, which you'll have if you've logged in with Battle.net. And you click Customize Profile, and it brings you onto this page. You can select what specs you play. So, for example, I play Arms, but I also play Fury. You can also add alts, but in this scenario, let's say I only play a warrior, so I'll add my warrior. You go on to the next step, and you can set what schedules you want. So, for example, you can set how many days per week you want. So, for example, you could want to raid between 2 and 4 days a week, maybe 3 hours a day total. So this is quite a dedicated player in this situation. You can also select your schedule. So, for example, you select your time zone, and then you could be selecting what days. So, for example, any day that you're happy to raid on, or you can go and select any weekday, and it will select Monday to Friday. Or if you just want to raid on the weekends, it will select Saturday and Sunday up here. Or you can put in a custom schedule, and you can select what days you want to raid. So, for example, if you want to raid Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, you can put that in. It will show people that are looking for players for their guilds what days you want to raid on. Or if maybe you just don't want to raid on Monday, you can select every day except Monday, and it will show that. You then go over to the next step, and it will ask you a few questions. So, are you open to playing with cross-realm groups? If you're looking to raid Mythic, then you can just select yes. If you're looking to raid Mythic, you can say no. If you're willing to transfer realms, you can also do that. So if you're pretty set on your current realm, or maybe you don't want to spend money to transfer your characters over, you can put no. If you're pretty open with that, you can just go, yeah, sure, I'll realm transfer. And it will also ask you about changing factions. Again, same sort of thing with transferring realms. If you're willing to transfer factions, click yes. If not, click no. You can also add custom requirements. So, for example, if you want to only go for certain guilds that are higher ranked or less high ranked, you can go, I want to pick a guild that is between, say, or less than 1,000 ranked in the world, and then that will add that to the requirements. But otherwise, you don't have to add that. Then you go over to the next tab, which is published. You have to select the language, some tags, and then a caption about yourself, and whether you want it to be public or private. Public will show it to everyone, private will show it to only the guilds you apply to. And then you click save and activate, and it will publish that out to everyone. Now, I'm not going to do that because, again, I'm quite happy in my guild and I don't want to start looking for another guild, so I'm not going to publish anything. But this is a way you can get yourself out there, like the WoW Progress thing and the Warcraft Logs recruitment thing. Now, for the Warcraft Logs recruitment and the Raider.io recruitment, I can't personally say if it's any good or not, because I've never had to use it. These things are fairly recent, and I've been in my guild for quite a while. But I would just suggest put yourself on there. You might get some people contacting you from it. More places for people to find you is always a good thing in guild recruitment. So yeah, I'd recommend trying it out, but I don't know how good it is. But with WoW Progress, 100%, I would recommend that. I've used that for years, and it's always been good for me. And that's the end of the video. If you follow the advice I've given you in this video, you should be able to find a guild that helps you to achieve your goals in WoW, and have fun with great people while doing it. If you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please like, subscribe and comment what you'd like to see next. I hope you have fun with your new guild, and I'll see you next time.